Hey yo, what's poppin' guys? It's your boy FizzleTheHizzle, aka Ben here, bringing you guys the Season 3 Draft Analysis Recap for your Tampa Bay Buizels in the NCL, the Mombasa City League, of course. Same commissioner, my boy Ian, coach of your Ladner Lantern, and we have a lot of returning coaches in this league from Season 2, and I'm looking forward to get my revenge on Austin, man. I'm trying to pick up my championship, which I think with my draft, I feel like I have a pretty solid shot at winning the championship, not gonna lie. And of course, the goal every single league before this season starts is to make playoffs, so that's gonna be the bottom line. I'm gonna try my best to make playoffs. Of course, after our playoff run got cut short in the finals, and Austin won the Season 2 championship, so definitely congrats to him. He played well, and switching suspects, Kelly does not exist, unfortunately. But yeah, man, I'm really excited about this season. I feel like I drafted a really fun team. Going into this draft, I've used most things already, like in draft format. The only things I really want to try were things like Diggersby, Heracross, and stuff like that. Really, Pokemon that are tough to like get because they're taken so often. But yeah, I'm just gonna try to pick something that I'm comfortable with and something that seems really fun. And yeah, I have something in this draft, a key aspect in this draft that I have never done before, and I'm really looking forward to using that. I'll go over it as we get there. We'll cross that bridge once we get to it. But yeah, man, let's talk about the draft and the rules. So it's 16 coaches. I was placed 10th out of 16. Completely random, of course. Like the champion doesn't get first pick or anything like that. Completely random again. So I'm just 10th out of 16 just due to RNG, which really sucks because I'm basically in the middle. I mean, I know it's not exactly in the middle. 8th is the middle, but 10th is not very good. You usually want a pick towards the end of the draft, like 14, 15, 16, or like in the beginning, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So being in the middle or around that area is not very good. And as to the rules in the NCL, same rules. You have 400 points to spend on your 4 free picks. You have to choose 1 tier 1, 1 tier 2, 2 tier 3s, 1 tier 4, and 1 tier 5, and of course a mega. Each mega has a tier, so if you pick a lower tier mega, you get some points back, so you can have more points to use available for your free points or your free Pokemon. So that's definitely going to be a strategy that I'm going to actually implement in my draft plan, and you'll see what it is. But yeah, Z move rules, same thing as last season rather. Free Z move rules, no Commonium Z, no Omni Boost. I believe Immunium Z is allowed this season, but yeah, it's just no Omni Boosting. I believe that's the only rule. I may be missing something, but that's as far as I know, and that's standard. And yeah, anybody can use it, which is really scary, but it's really fun. I think that's a really nice move. Most leagues tend to stick to like 3 Z captains or 20 points or whatever it is, but I really like the free Z move rule, and I think it's really fun. And yeah, that's basically the gist of it. And like I said, I'm 10th out of 16 in the draft, so my plan going into this was like, all right, I'm just gonna wait out the draft. I'm not gonna have a plan yet, but I'm just gonna take the best Pokemon available when it gets to me. So there are things like Zygarde 50%, Tornadus T, Kartana, stuff like that. And I ended up going with one of my personal favorite tier 1 Mons and Dragons and Grounds in general. Chomp, the boy Kamina, or Chomp. I really like this Mon. Sorry, Austin, I sniped the shit out of him out of this one. But revenge for beating me, I guess. But man, I really like Chomp. 10th pick, Chomp is not bad. And the reason I chose Chomp over things like Zygarde and Tornadus, I'm not a fan of relying on a 70% accurate move as your main stab. I know it gets Air Slash, but then it doesn't hit as hard. But Zygarde is, I'm not a fan of that much. I used it in DCDL once, and it put in some work, but it's too linear in my opinion. It's pretty predictable. Usually you only see a couple of sets like Coil, D-Dance, Banded. Those are like really the only sets you see. Subtoxic, Protect, maybe. But Garchomp can do it all, man. Rough Skin is a fantastic ability. Has a great speed tier in 102. Great spammable moves. Dragon and Ground are incredible offensive stats. Does have a 4x weakness to Ice, which of course I'm going to patch up later in the draft. Because if you don't, that's just a bad draft. But Garchomp was just the best mon available, man. It gave me a rocker right off the bat, which is something I'm going to improve on from last year's draft, because I had really mediocre rockers like Crocodile, Mesprit, and Kecleon. Kecleon, like when I got the transaction, of course. So they're not mons that typically like to run rocks. Like Crocodile, you want to run those Choice Scarf sets, Choice Bandit sets. So I'm definitely learning to get a bunch of hazards on my draft. And Chomp is really good. It's straightforward. You all know what Garchomp does. And especially with the free Z-move rules, I don't have to invest any points or anything. So this thing can use any Z-move it wants. So like Z, Sandstorm, Sandville could be crazy. It gets a plethora of coverage on both sides too. So Z-moves for that is really nice as well. And yeah, Chomp is a great pick. And yeah, going into the next one, I'm thinking of picking up either a Fairy or a Steel, of course, because I feel like those two are very important when it comes to drafting Chomp. So in conjunction with Chomp, the best Fairy available was Clefable. I'm kind of surprised Clefable made it back to me, because it's usually like early round 2. But I guess I was early round 2 since I was like, what, 6? Yeah, I was 6 picks into round 2. But Clefable is a great mon. Again, gives me a secondary rocker. Already learned from my mistakes from Season 2. So that's really nice to get out of the way. Fairy typing, one of the best fairies in the format. Of course, it doesn't have the best stats ever, but it has incredible abilities with Unaware, Magic Guard. Magic Guard lets you run like Life Orb offensive sets with like Moonblast and Fire Blast and stuff like that. And that seems really fun. And Clefable is just a great mon, man. It's a good wish support for anything on my draft. If I'm running bulky Chomp, I can wish pass into that, so that's really good. Gives me a Cleric as well. And Clefable is just a solid mon in general, man. What else can you say? Clefable has a lot of sets as well, gets lots of utility with things like the Cleric options like Wish, of course, Healing Wish, T-Wave as well. And Calm Mind sets are also very scary. Cosmic Power sets. I'm looking to cause some cancer in this league, man. It was the Gloomon, I believe, last season. I believe Jay had it. And yeah, I'm a fan of the Gloomons. What can I say? Zapdos and then Clefable next season. I don't know, it really holds the team together though. Like, it's really good in conjunction with a lot of things. And yeah, fits well on most drafts, especially with Chomp. And I really like the pairing. So yeah, going into the next one, I was like, alright, I need my bulky water next. And I really wanted my Milotic because of the status absorber for things like the Chomp that doesn't want to get burned or toxic, really. Clefable, if I'm running like Unaware, it doesn't want to be toxic either. So Milotic, if I can run like Marvel Skill with a Flame Orb, that means it'll get burned and it doesn't get affected by status. So I felt like that was perfect synergy with my draft. And it of course gives me a Steel and an Ice Resist in one. So that was really good and I feel like I had perfect synergy. And then Phil took Suicune. And then immediately after that, Jed took Milotic. And I was really upset because Milotic fit perfectly with my draft. So I was forced to get another water since we all like taking each other's waters. And I ended up with Slowbro. Slowbro's a pretty solid mon. It's definitely not the water I wanted. I would love to get Milotic. But Slowbro is really nice because it gives me another Calm Mind user. It gives me a Psychic as well. And it's just a bulky water, man, especially from the physically defensive side. I have some nice special defense with Clefable going on, so pairing that with physically defensive Slowbro is very nice. And they pair with each other well. I don't know about the synergy with Slowbro with Clefable, but I got Slowbro because I needed a bulky water. And there were like no more left after Suicune and Milotic got picked consecutively. So I picked Slowbro. It's a solid mon. I really like it a lot. Gets a lot of coverage like Clefable as well. Gets also utility as well. Trick Room, T-Wave, stuff like that. Calm Mind as well. Iron Defense sets with Rest and whatever. Life Orb sets with like, I don't know, Psychic, Scald, Fire Blast as well. Slowbro is also a really good defensive pivot. And I have two really solid physically defensive mons. So right off the bat, things are forced to run more specially oriented, or teams are forced to run more specially oriented so far in my draft, but that gets really punished by Spadef Clefable because I have a Slowbro, which is a defensive tank, and Chomp has Rough Skin. So that really deters physical attackers, and that leaves the door wide open for Clefable to put in work. So it's not bad synergy, but I would have loved to have Milotic, but I use Slowbro briefly, and I think it's really solid mon, and yeah, nothing more to say. Now next in the draft, I was thinking about getting something. Hold on. Excuse me. Next in the draft, I was thinking about, well, actually, at this point, I was like, okay, I know exactly what my plan is going to be. Shout out to Ethan, my boy Threethan in the front office, of course. He suggested a nice strategy that I'm not going to reveal to you guys yet, so it's going to be a little surprise. And I needed a ground resist for that to happen. You might have already guessed it, and if you have, you're a lord. But I really wanted a ground resist, like a really good ground resist, and it would just be beneficial for my strategy late game or late draft. So next up, we chose Buizels. Say hello to Joe, the returning Buizels from AABL. Buizels is a fantastic mon, gives me an Ultra Beast, which I think, if you don't have an Ultra Beast, that makes you, well actually, I'm not going to say that. Having an Ultra Beast on your team makes it so that they have to play so differently around it. Like, they can't just sack things to the Ultra Beast, right? Because they're just going to get boosts. So they have to make some really whack plays. So just having an Ultra Beast with the Beast Boost ability is just insane in my opinion. It's just one of the best abilities in the entire game. It's a really good physically defensive tank. And at this point, there's a big flaw in my draft. There's not enough special defense. Like, I have 3 really solid defensive mons on the physical side with Chomp, Slowbro, and Buizels. Clefable is pretty bulky, especially. It's more bulky, especially, I believe. But, yeah, I just feel like having a Spadef tank would be really good on my draft. And that's something that's going to be missing on my draft in general. Like, the special defense stat is going to be lacking on my draft. And I believe that it was Nacho, I believe, that took the average stat for every coach, and I had the lowest average special defense on my entire draft, so definitely something I need to watch out for. But I can kind of cover it with Calm Mind Clefable, or not Calm Mind Clefable, with Spadef Clefable. But yeah, Buizels is just a really good mon in general, man. It's has really good coverage, it's really fat physically, can wall a lot of physical attackers as well. And this is where a status absorber would have been perfect, like Milotic, because this thing doesn't want to get toxic or burned, so Milotic would have been right there. And I tried. Jed does not want to trade his Milotic, unfortunately. But yeah, Buizels is just a really good mon. I enjoyed it in AABL. I think it's a solid mon, and it's a ground resist. It's a really good ground resist at that, because it has reliable recovery with like Roost. And Scarf sets, Banded sets, like bulk up sets are really nice as well. It gets tremendous amounts of coverage. And yeah, Buizels is a pretty good mon, man. And yeah, going into my next pick in the draft, I really needed another ground resist or immunity. So I was thinking about getting Crobat because it has really good utility. And right now I don't have any removal on my draft, which is something I do on a patch. But I'm a firm believer that you don't need to have lots of removal. You just need to have like 1 or 2 defoggers. You don't need your whole team of defoggers, because you're not going to run defog ever on any of those mons except for like one like once a week. So I only need like 1 or 2 reliable defoggers, and I felt like Crobat was a perfect fit for that. Yeah, because it has lots of utility with like Taunt. It gives me a great speed tier past Garchomp, which is something I definitely wanted. Taunt, Super Fang, U-Turn, I felt like the momentum was really good for my team, so I can pivot in things like the Clefable, the Buizels, and defensive pivots like Slowbro and Chomp and Clefable. So I definitely wanted Crobat, but it did unfortunately get sniped for me, and I chose the next best thing, and I think it's a really good mon as well. I ended up choosing regular Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl's a really solid mon, man. It gets rocks again, so I have 3 rockers within my first 5 picks. Yes, round 5 is a little too early for Aerodactyl, I agree, but I just couldn't let it fall back anymore because it was perfect because it gave me a defogger, not a reliable one, but it is a defogger. Utility Aerodactyl with Taunt Roost Defog is a set, and Edgequake is phenomenal. Excuse me. Edgequake is phenomenal. It rips teams apart, and with the Z moves rule here, I can use Z moves on Aerodactyl, so I can run like Z Fly, Z Fire Fang, Z Special Coverage. So it's a really good mon in this league for sure, and yeah, man, it's really good. Definitely is early, but I felt like it was definitely worth it. And also gives me a ground immunity, so nothing can really spam EQ against my team. I know right now I don't have a problem with ground types, right? Like, nothing is weak to it. I have a Buzzwole and I have an immunity in Aerodactyl. But later in the draft, you'll see that my strategy needs a lot of ground resist. And I feel like I did a decent job of patching that up in this draft. But next up, I really wanted a steal. I was thinking of getting Bronzong earlier, but I didn't want Bronzong anymore because I had to get Slowbro because I was sniped with my Lodic. And yeah, Ian got Bronzong anyway, I believe. Like in the... Wow, what the heck? Who is speed driving? I'm sorry about that, if you heard that. But I really needed a Steel type because I don't want to be spammed with Dragon and Fairy moves against me because Fairy types do look like a problem against me. And this gives me a little bit more Spadef, even though this mon is more physically defensive. Naturally, you're always going to be investing lots of Spadef into it. So say hello to our Steelix. Steelix is a solid mon because, like I said, you're always going to be running Spadef on this thing. You're never going to be investing into defense. It's like a Regirock, the GOAT. But it gives me another rocker, which is phenomenal. I already have 4 rockers within my first 6 picks. It's a good wall, so like poison types and fairies and dragons can't really hurt my team that much. And with Wish support from Clefable, it's really good support in that sense. And Sturdy is very valuable in my opinion because you can take a hit and go for like a roar in case you want to phase something out. It has pretty good attacking stat with 85. It's mediocre, but it gets access to Sheer Force with the coverage that it has, like the Elemental Fangs, Earthquake, Explosion, Heavy Slam, Gyro Ball, Iron Head, Rock Blast, Rock Slide, and yeah, it's a really good physically defensive tank, or just a tank in general, and it can be offensive too with Sheer Force, like Life Orb, Sheer Force, Iron Heads do damage, man. It does do damage, and yeah, I feel like this thing doesn't have to be run defensively all the time, which is why I really like this pick, because I have 3 other rockers already on my draft. I don't need to run rocks on Steelix every single time, so I could fit in like Roar, Toxic, Dragon Tail, stuff like that. Even Autotomize sets could be interesting, so I cannot speed Mega Camels. Yeah, it's still slow as shit, but it's possible. And I can run offensive Steelix, which is something that I'm definitely getting better as a drafter, because last season I mentioned Crocodile a lot, and it was forced to be run utility a lot of the time because it was my only rocker, and I can run like Scarf or Bandit sets like I mentioned before. But yeah, man, it's a really good mon, and I'm really happy that I got it round 6. It's pretty solid, and I'm pretty happy with how it went. Now, my next mon, I was really worried that it was going to get sniped, because this mon was a very key part incorporating our strategy that you'll probably figure out within the next 2 or 3 picks. But I was so scared this thing was going to get taken. A bunch of electric types went, and I'm like, oh my god, please no. And I was hoping and praying to frickin' Buizel that it wasn't going to get sniped. But fortunately for us, we got the Heliolisk. This thing was so big in my plan, you have no idea. And you're sitting there right now, Ben, it's a Heliolisk, okay? But yeah, it's a Heliolisk. The normal typing defensively isn't a problem, because I have really good fighting resist with things like the Clefable, Buzzwole, and the Slowbro, which are all really good fighting type tanks. They just eat yum 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 snack. And electric type with 109 base speed is really good for my speed tiers. I get a pivot, which I really like, on my draft. And it has 3 really interesting abilities. Dry Skin, so that I'm not affected by water type attacks. Because right now I did get double ground and the Aerodactyl, and my water resist is a Slowbro, and that doesn't really take like Specs Hydro Pumps from things well, because it doesn't have the best special defense. But with this I get an actual immunity to water types, which is really nice. Get Sandoval. I don't know how often I'm going to be running that. Solar Power is pretty cool. It gets an extra Life Orb attack. Well, it's basically +1 in Sun, and it takes Life Orb chip, basically. But it hits so hard in Sun. Like, it already hits hard with 109 special attack, which is pretty nice. But with a Life Orb and a Solar Power, like, imagine. And the coverage this thing gets is really nice, too. Like, normal electric stab is really nice. It gets access to Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse, Focus Blast, the hidden powers, of course, Surf as well. And this thing also gets U-Turn and Volt Switch. So this is the ultimate Mon, and it fit my draft perfectly. And yeah, you're still sitting there saying you're hyping up this Heliolisk. But yeah, you're going to see within the next few picks why I loved this thing on my draft. And this next pick, you're going to see why I really wanted my boy Heliolisk. And say hello to the turtle friend Torkoal. Torkoal gives me Sun, and you can already tell what my team is going for, because you can see I didn't draft my Mega yet, and everybody else drafted their Mega, and you can already tell what I'm going for, right? And I have the Heliolisk, which gets Solar Power, gets boosted by the Sun, which is very nice. And Torkoal gives me another Rocker, gives me solid removal with Rapid Spin, specs like Overheats and Flamethrowers, body things, and it gets pretty decent coverage. It's usually a lead with like Sun and Drought. What is it called? Heat Rock? Yeah, it's called the Heat Rock. But yeah, Torkoal is really nice here, mainly just to set up the Sun for my future plans. You can already tell it's the Sun team. I'm getting a Sun team. And at this point, I surprised a lot of people because they had no idea that I was going for a Sun team. And this is why I was worried about getting those ground resist. So that's why like things like Buzzwole and Aerodactyl were really good. And yeah, another reason I wanted Bronzong so much was because it gets heat proof, so things can't really abuse the Sun against me. Or at least against Bronzong, because heat proof negates the damage. And Levitate, so it gives me a ground immunity, which was perfect for my draft, but Milotic Slowbro, and then I got Steelix. So Bronzong and Milotic would have been perfect for me. And my plan was to get Bronzong knowing I was going to get a Sun team. Like, I knew I was going to get a Sun team, like, after I picked Slowbro, basically. So, yeah. This thing is just straightforward. It's going to set up the Sun, can set up Rocks and Spin. That's really all it does. And next up, you already know what I'm getting. I need a Sun Sweeper, right? I need a Sun Sweeper. And you already know I don't have a Grass yet. And I'm not choosing that Venusaur, man. It doesn't get Weather Ball. But this thing does. Victory Bell. This thing is tremendous in Tier 5. It gives me a Tier 5, first of all. So, other than Steelix. Steelix is in Tier 5. Wow, I just realized. That's pretty good. But Victory Bell in Tier 5 is a massive threat. It has a really solid special attack with, I believe, 100. And you can run Modest most weeks anyway with a Life Orb or a Z. Again, the Z move rules are really good here, because I can run viable Z sets on things like the Garchomp, the Slowbro sometimes, Aerodactyl, Torkoal maybe, Clefable. I don't know how often I'm going to do that. And Victory Bell. And even Buzzwole. It's not a bad Z user, but this thing is really good because its dual stab is incredible. And it's only resisted by Steel types and Poison types, I believe. And we have a Garchomp, one of the best ground breakers in the game, and a Steelix, so we have double ground to make up for it. And Weather Ball, man. Weather Ball makes Fire type attack. It's a 50 base power Fire attack, which isn't that good, but in Sun and Life Orb, it's going to be doing some decent damage. But like I said, it's not the strongest Mon in the world. It's 100 special attack, but in Sun, it's going to be putting in a lot of work, and its dual stab is really hard to switch into. And it gets access to Sleep Powder as well. Swords Dance sets as well, with things like Seed Bomb and a Poison Jab, the Leech Life knockoff Leaf Blade. It doesn't even have a blade thing. And yeah, this thing gives me the option to run either special or physical. because its attack is 105 as well, and its special attack is 100. So this thing is a perfect Sun Sweeper for me. I was thinking about getting Venusaur, because it's just bulkier and gets a little more utility, but I don't know. I just liked the fact of Weather Ball, and Venusaur was in tier 4, and I didn't want to get more points for what I could get in tier 5 with Victory Bell. And I feel like Victory Bell is just a better Sun Sweeper in general. Venusaur is a better Mon, but as a Sun Sweeper, I'd rather have Victory Bell. Now my next Mon, I already know what my Mega is, and you probably already know what my Mega is. And I'm not gonna take it next round because I know I can just save it for my last pick. And next up, I got Frostlass. This thing really helps out my speed tiers. Excuse me. Frostlass is really good to help out my speed tiers. 110. Having a 110 base speed Pokemon is really nice. So my speed tiers are not bad right now. It's gonna go from Aerodactyl to my Mega to Frostlass to Heliolisk. So it's not bad so far. And Frostlass is really nice because it gives me a Ghost type, which with the amount of hazards that I have on my draft, with the amount of hazards I have on my draft, things are going to be spinning, so it gives me a Ghost type for spin blocking, which is really nice. It's also a really good lead, because I can run Destiny Bond. It's so fast. It can run Taunt, Destiny Bond, Icy Wind to slow things down. Excuse me. Doesn't hit hard at all with 80 special attack, or 80 attacks in both, but I'm just going to get it for utility. Gets access to spikes as well, so it's just a phenomenal lead. It's just a phenomenal lead, and gets Trick as well, so I can trick Choice Scarfs onto things and stuff like that. And a Switcheroo, so Trick and Switcheroo, that's crazy. And 2-Wave as well, 2-Wave as well, and Will-O-Wisp, so it gets the 3 status moves besides Sleep, which, oh my god. I'm sorry, I've been talking a long time. But yeah, this thing is really good sack lead, and it gets dual screens as well. Actually, it doesn't get Reflect. But yeah, this thing's a really solid Mon, and I am so sorry, guys. But yeah, I just got this thing because it helps out my speed tiers, and it's a really good spin blocker, and I didn't really know what else to get. I was thinking about getting Kofag for T-Spikes earlier in the draft, but he got sniped, of course. Kofag fit pretty well on my team, but I already had like a lot of physically defensive Mons anyway, so it didn't really matter. And I got Spikes out of this Frostlass and speed, so that's really nice. And I need to drink lots of water after this, boys. Going to my next pick, it's no surprise. I got the Mega Doom, man. I got the Mega Houndoom. Mega Houndoom in Sun is insane, dude. Like, what's the switch in? Unless your name is like, I don't know, Flashfire Arcanine. But either way, like, Solar Power gives it more than a Life Orb boost with 140 special attack, with 2 really good dual stabs. Dark Pulse and Fire Blast and Sun with Solar Power. Just imagine the things that'll bop. Like, everything. Gets really good setup options with Nasty Plot, which is fantastic. And it doesn't have bad attack either. It's 90 base attack. So it's a viable pursuit trapping Mon. It gets access to Destiny Bond as well, which could be cool. Flame Charge as well if I want to boost my speed. And 115 speed tier is really good for my draft because it goes from Arrow at 130, Mega Doom at 115, Frostlass at 110, and Heliolisk at 109, and then Chomp at 102. So I do have a big hole between my Buzzwole and my Garchomp, but that's not too much of a problem. Like, if things that are base 100 like can run Adamant or Modest, that's gonna be a problem, but I'm not too worried about it. But this thing is just incredible, man. In Sun, it also gets Pursuit, Sucker Punch, so really good mind games there. It also gets Taunt, because I don't have a lot of removers on my team, or hazard removal on my team. Like, I have Defog, Aerodactyl, and Rapid Spin Torkoal, which are both weak to rocks. So with the amount of Taunt Pokemon that I have, I think it's really good to prevent rocks on my side. But yeah, like Nasty Plot, Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Fire Blast, and Sun with Solar Power is just incredible. And I'm going to have a lot of fun with this team, and I feel like it's going to put in a lot of work. And nobody else drafted Weather. I believe somebody drafted like Gigalith, I believe. I may be wrong. But nobody else drafted Weather, not like last season where somebody drafted Rain. I don't have to worry about anything else. I don't have to worry about Sand. I don't have to worry about Rain. And this Sun team looks like it can rip teams apart, man. And I'm really excited. A couple weaknesses that it does have is the ground resist, of course. My only ground resist is like Buzzwole. And my grass is also a poison type, so it's not really switching to any T-Arrows or Earthquakes. And Aerodactyl is just an immunity rather. So it's not it doesn't resist like T-Arrows. But yeah, I really like my team. Let me know what you guys think about the draft, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how good do you think the draft is? And make a prediction, man. Where do you think we'll end up finishing the season, and what record do you think we'll have? I think we're going to win the championship. I'm going big. I'm going to win the championship. That's my prediction. And I will go, what do we have, like 12 weeks? I feel like we're going to go 10-2 if there's 12 weeks. 10-2 seems really reasonable for us, and I'm setting my standards high, man. I'm setting my standards high. And, yeah, I'm really excited about this league. Oh, wow, that was awful. I'm sorry. I unplugged my earphones. But, yeah, 12 weeks. I feel like I'm going to go 10-2 and win the championship. And, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts are on the draft and your predictions, of course. I'm really excited. First week, we're playing Ace, my boy Ace, and the West Virginia Voltorbs. So definitely going to be a fun one. Start off the season right with a dub, hopefully. And yeah, man, I'm so excited for this league. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means the world to me. And like always, have a swell day. Peace.